right.
Well,
You're right.
Shall we, boys?
What's hot, what's not? Yeah.
And welcome back to Rough Draft Research.
Feels
Woohoo!
like we never left.
It never feels like we leave.
it's because we don't.
No.
We just
We've
sit
been
here.
here.
We've been
Yeah, and
waiting.
get ready
true.
for next week.
We shower in shifts. There's always two of us on the mic.
Yep, always someone manning the camera.
That's right.
Well, here we are with our free agency foreplay episode.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get into it. We're going to talk about some contracts, some franchise tag. I mean, potential landing spots. Who knows? It's all up in the air. We got the two gurus. They each got 10 guys. We might have some overlap. We might not have overlap.
Yeah.
And let's rapid fire. Let's go into it. Who wants to go first?
Go for it.
Oh, shit. I knew this was going to happen.
Dan,
All right.
what's up?
I'm going first. It is going to be kind of rapid fire, you know what I mean? So I'm looking for a good place to start. It's something subtle, not too extreme. So yeah, we each picked 10 guys, and I'm just going to get into my first guy. And man, I feel like I'm going to burn some bridges. I'm going to get aggressive with this. But I want to talk about Samaje Perine.
Okay.
Yeah, he somehow made my list. He's I want to talk about him because he's 27 years old and he's only a few months older than Kareem Hunt. Okay? So everyone talks about Kareem Hunt and how awesome Kareem Hunt is. And I think that we should be a little more excited about Samaje Perine. We're starting it slow, guys. I'm setting the mood for this episode. But since his rookie year, Samaje Perine only has one fantasy game with double-digit carries that he didn't have double-digit fantasy points in. So the guy has actually been pretty productive, and right now he's rocking 50-plus carries the past 3 years with Cincinnati, and he's got over a 4-yard per carry average. So I'm saying he's doing pretty well for a serviceable backup. So he's a guy that I'm pretty excited about, and we all know because we've been watching this Joe Mixon concussion situation. But the last couple of games, he's had several touchdowns. In Week 11, he had 3 touchdowns, and they were all in the receiving game. And then last week he had 1 touchdown on the ground, but looking through his career, he is versatile in both the passing game and the rushing game. And so I'm keeping a weird eye on him as a guy who could hold down like a solid number 2 role in a committee backfield. So that's what I'm doing. I'm starting slow with Samaje Perine. I'm telling you, look out, Kareem Hunt. Don't waste your money on Kareem Hunt when you can get Samaje Perine for free.
I don't hate it, and there's going to be teams that need vet running backs that don't want to spend a lot of money, and Samaje Perine's definitely going to fall into that category of like a $2.5 to $3 million average salary. You would imagine. Go ahead.
I would say let's just say like Houston really tries to ride it out with Dameon Pierce. Like, who better to replace 32-year-old Rex Burkhead than Samaje Perine, who can be serviceable as a starter, as he's proven that he is.
And he can help Pierce kind of develop.
Exactly. So you don't have to break the bank on a team that needs so many things, apparently not defensively. But go Houston. How are you doing it? I don't get it.
Yeah.
All right. That was
I like it. I think the Dolphins would be interesting for Perine as well if Miami were to get like a young running back in there. Add Perine, because I know they have a bunch of people there, but I don't really know how long all those are going to last. Maybe Jeff Wilson, but we'll see.
I know Myles Gaskin's a free agent next year, so
Truth.
He's not
Hey, no
he's not
spoilers. No spoilers, boys.
He's not on my list. He's not on my list.
All right. Well, I don't want to go too crazy after that one. So let's pick a guy who's fairly consistent and a little underrated. I'm going to go with Jakobi Meyers. He's listed as a lot of people's number one free agent wide receiver going into the 2023 class. A lot of the people that were in his draft class already signed huge deals, and that's why he's kind of the one guy left. This one, not as exciting. I probably kind of should have put it in the middle because there's a strong chance that the Patriots do just re-sign him. They are projected to have $51 million in cap space, and Jakobi Meyers is by far their best receiver. But he just continues to put in the work, man. He's on pace right now for over 100 targets again with 88 catches, and he's posting a career high in catch percentage with like 75%. So if this guy could go to an offense that needs like just a consistent hands receiver, I think it could work. Like if New England lets him go, I think there's some decent option out there that could use him. Like Atlanta, for instance, makes a lot of sense to me as a secondary guy to Drake London. Chicago has a ton of money and could use receivers. I think Jakobi Meyers would be great in Kansas City if Juju doesn't re-sign or something. The Giants or Indianapolis are another two nice options there. I would like to see Meyers go somewhere where there's just like an absolute elite quarterback, and I just want to see how he would do because he puts up these numbers with, you know, that reeled-in offense that New England does. It's not this crazy offense, especially not since Tom left. If he was with somebody, I think he could pop and be a lot more interesting than he is. And he's only 5 right now, or 26. So he's still young. He can still produce for your team. I like Meyers a lot, and I think somebody might get a steal.
Yeah. He is 26. I have him on my list too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I talk a little differently about him, so I'm just going to jump in and talk some more about him.
Let's do it.
I just kind of looked at his history and was a little surprised, you know, that his second season, he just kind of jumped on the scene and blew up. And from week 7 on in that year, he was averaging 12.8 fantasy points per game, which in that same season was like the same production level that you were getting out of Tyler Boyd, like in Joe Burrow's rookie year before Jamar Chase. So like he was a serviceable guy. This year he's wide receiver 36, and that's with missing 2 games. And actually his per game average is wide receiver 24 this year. He's like you're saying, he's leading New England in targets, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. And I think that he could be like 2023 wide receiver classes. I think we're going to get to. It's a little weak as far as free agency goes.
Yeah, it's very weak.
And I think he has the chance to be like the low grade version of Christian Kirk in that free agency class going into next year. But yeah, there's a number of places where he'd be extremely successful. I don't know. Pretty much all of them, right? Everybody can use a guy
I think
like
he'd be
this.
good anywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean, Kansas City would be really cool, in my opinion, if they could pull that off somehow.
Kansas City.
Little harder with the cap situation for the Chiefs. I mean, they're projected, 17 million? And this is before for the record, the salary cap is projected to possibly go all the way up to 230 million from 208. So like these numbers might go way up, but as it stands right now, it might be harder for them to work. But I think that would make a lot of sense.
Well, it's also going to make it a little tougher now that Brian Edwards is on the practice squad.
That's true.
Real recognize real. You know what I mean? Got to do what you got to do. Oh, that's fucking dude. I picked up Brian Edwards. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't.
Yeah,
in the roasted?
Yeah. In the 57-man roster.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I flirted with dropping Trey Sermon to pick him up for the belt, but no, I can't. I'm not there yet.
That's fair.
So,
some wounds have to heal.
Oh yeah, some wounds will never heal in my experience. But okay, you want me to roll into another guy, my third guy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I'm gonna get a little funky with this one, and I'm going to the quarterback world. I'm
Okay.
going Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
So I know it's not the sexiest free agent quarterback next year. There's quite a few
I mean,
big hitters out there.
physically might be the sexiest.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Pornstar, man. 6 to midnight, we call him. And my family. I'm watching you, wife. But it's kind of a weird world we're living in where Marcus Mariota is a starter, right? And you got this QB carousel going on in Carolina, and then you look at like the fucking Jets, right? Like is Zach Wilson really out? And Mike White and Joe Flacco are both free agents after this year. So
Yeah.
like the Jets QB, that's what I'm talking about. The Jets and Jimmy Garoppolo and Robert Saleh and the 49er connection and the vision. But the thing about Jimmy G that you got to look into is he's had a great offensive line, right? And some good weapons there. But he's actually doing quite a bit with what he's got. They're a bottom 10 team in pass attempts, but they're actually tied for 10th in passing touchdowns with 17. You know, to think about that team being tied with the Vikings in passing touchdowns, it's kind of that's pretty extreme. He's only got 4 picks this year, and the Niners are actually third in yards per attempt behind Kansas City and Miami. So Jimmy is I think he's a little stouter than people thought he was. You know, he's not winning any like quarterback of the year prizes or anything, but I think that the struggles he had last year were due to the thumb injury, as we all saw. That was a big struggle for him. But I don't know. I think on a balanced team like he is on now, and they could potentially be on next year, I think he's a pretty appealing starter, a consistent starter that you don't really have to worry about as long as you got the defense to back it up and some weapons for him.
Yeah, and getting somebody like Jimmy G, you could still draft a rookie and nobody would think you were ridiculous. You know, like it would be fine. It would make the most sense. So you could roll in a team that wants to compete could roll in with Jimmy G as the starter and do exactly what the 49ers are doing and still draft a quarterback. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I think the Jets would make sense. I think if Danny Dimes craters, they somehow lose big in the playoffs and or don't make the playoffs at all somehow, that the Giants, that is, maybe they're in the market because their team is good enough to compete now and they maybe want to go for a quarterback. So I think he could end up in New York. I think that makes a lot of sense either way.
MetLife, one way or another.
Yeah, one way or another.
I like that.
Well, since you've done 3, let me get one just quick out of the way. Keep it in the quarterback room. And I know we spent a lot of time talking about him last year, so we're going to have to again this year. But Aaron Rodgers, okay, the Packers are 4-8. This is a crazy interesting one. I'm not going to bore anybody with the numbers, but basically the Packers are fucked. Even trading him would incur the second highest dead cap hit of all time in 2023 with $40 million, second only to Matt Ryan this year.
Jesus.
They could end up keeping him. Who knows? I think the Rodgers is bad and needs to retire crowd is a little loud for a guy that's throwing 21 touchdowns and 9 interceptions and still completing above 60% of his passes. Like, he's having a bad year for him, but not necessarily like that bad of a year compared to the rest of the league. And that's why I think teams will be interested. And if the Packers really are ready to move on from him, the other teams are going to see Rodgers. Oh, he has this thumb injury. He's been okay, but not amazing. Like, can they pull something out of him? And to be honest, somebody like the Jets have a very strong defense and a lot of weapons and a strong running game going into next year. They could easily just trade for a veteran quarterback, stop dealing with all their terrible attempts at drafting somebody, and just go out and get somebody. And that would be tough. The Jets don't have a lot of cap space. The Giants were actually also one because the Giants have 51 and they're 52 million in cap space, so they could actually make a deal like that work. I just think it's interesting because if the Packers aren't bad, then there's no chance this is happening. They're tied to Rodgers too much. But because they're bad, I think there's a window here where he actually might get traded and could still be effective. Not sure if it's going to happen. I think it's about 50-50. The other one last place, Colts might try it again, go 3 years in a row with aging veteran quarterbacks, but they're trying the like ultimate one with Rodgers this time. And who knows? I don't know, but it's just more interesting than I think in years past, I guess. More likely that he actually might get moved, maybe. Who knows? Get that out of the way, though.
Hey, I feel like you left out a team that would work out well. Send him to D.C. Aaron Rodgers and Scary Terry. Good defense.
That'd be fun.
Some weapons. Running game coming on strong.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuels.
They'd have to figure
De'Ami
out.
Brown.
They'd have to figure out the cap situation like
Dotson.
the Jets would, but yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think package Mac Jones and swap him, send him to the Patriots. Let Belichick do something. Goat part 2. They got the cap space for it.
It's like, I just want to do defense anyway,
it.
Aaron. You got the offense.
Right.
We don't have a real offensive coordinator anyway.
I lost my last OC to Tampa Bay. I could really use a guy like you. Okay. Well, do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm with it now. I'm with it. I think I've figured out everything I was doing right and wrong, and I'm going to do them all again the right way this time. Okay. I'm going with Dalton Schultz. This is a quickie, I think. But yeah, it's Dalton Schultz. You know, per game this year, he's the tight end 10. And he's not quite living up to the high expectations that he set being the tight end 3 last year. But I think that he's still doing pretty well. You know how I know that? Because with Dak under center, he actually has 13 fantasy points per game, which is the tight end 3 on average. So what's up, AJ? You roasted. All your Schultz shit talking, man. Look at you now.
Jake Ferguson, baby.
Jake Ferguson. But no, he's extremely consistent. I think that he could really add to any roster. I don't think that he is like team dependent. You know, you look at the Cowboys and you think of, oh man, like, you know, he's only good because CeeDee Lamb or like Dak's going to break a record and, you know, the run game's great or the O-line. But like they've had so many struggles this year and he's still finding a way to be successful. It kind of makes me have a lot more faith in him being able to translate that to another team. And, you know, he's playing on the tag this year, and they don't have the I don't think they have the money to to make a stand. So
Not with Jake Ferguson in the house.
and not with Jake Ferguson in the house. So
They're projected right now to be 2 million over.
2
Or
million.
under. 2 million under, sorry.
I like it.
So, I mean, they could make it work, but
Yeah,
it'd
so
be crazy.
I mean, they're not going to, right? Because Dalton Schultz, you know, the way what did Evan Ingram get last year or this past year? Like 8 million to go to Jacksonville. So they can't even pay that. And this guy is a lot more relevant than Evan Ingram was going into this past year.
Yeah, just to echo what you're saying on sporttrack.com, which is what I use to look at all the contracts and everything. Really interesting website, but they have his market value at 15.1 a year based on his production and other tight ends production. So if he hits that, that's to me a big if. That seems like a lot to pay for Dalton Schultz. But to your point, if you average out what he's done over the season and like he doesn't get hurt, you just average over 17 games. He's 87 targets, 62 catches, 585 yards, and 6 touchdowns, which isn't amazing, but it's not terrible for a tight end. Like, it's good. And I think I actually had him on my list too. I think it's pretty interesting. I think he could end up getting a pretty decent tight end contract, and there's some teams around. I thought like an in-division steal from the Giants. I know Daniel Bellinger was coming along, but maybe they want a second guy to kind of help him. But honestly, I think my favorite option is Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hurst is on a 1-year deal. I don't think that. I know that. That's a fact. He's on a 1-year deal. It could be gone. He hasn't been like electric, not enough that they need to keep him around. And there's an opening there. So there's an opening there. And then the Bengals have projected $45 million in cap space. They don't have to pay Burrow yet. They don't have to pay Chase yet. Obviously, have to fix the offensive line. That's priority number one. But in that, they'd kind of want a tight end that is better at blocking, or at least a little bit better at blocking. Because I originally kind of thought Mike Gesicki to Cincinnati would make a lot of sense, but he wouldn't help really at all in the blocking. So I think Schultz might be a better option, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think he could be productive there if it were to happen.
That's a big if, but I think that would be beautiful.
I'd be into it.
Well, shit, Christian. On to the next, baby.
All right, let's pop some names, some more.
Getting sexy, huh?
Yeah, let's get some sexy names going. I mean, let's talk Josh Jacobs. All right. So Josh Jacobs, this resurgence isn't even a resurgence because he was never this good. So it's not even a resurgence. It's just like a blow up. It's completely reworked his price for 2023. The question is, are the Raiders going to let him walk? You know, at first I would have said no. They denied the 5th-year option. Now I'm conflicted. He's been almost too good. There's not a ton of free agents in Vegas. You got Cleveland Farrell, probably not going to get re-signed. Denzel Perriman's a big one. They're projected to have around $28 million, which is a decent amount of cap space. But Jacobs is probably going to command at least 12 to 12.5 annually, given this season. So do they want to spend that on a guy when they have the 24th ranked defense according to PFF and offensive line troubles and possibly need a quarterback? I'm not sure, but you know who's projected to have $67 million in cap space and could really use a running back? The Falcons. Ooh. And I think it's kind of perfect. They're going to be either rolling with the new rookie they drafted or Desmond Ridder probably next year. They have plenty of money to spend. They're not worried about that, and they want to see what they have. So give him a good running game, give him good weapons, which you've pretty much already done, and let's see what Ridder or insert rookie later can do. And I think if you give him someone like Jacobs, I think that'd be a lot of fun and make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can't really argue with that. Josh Jacobs, man. He's also on my list. It's also on my list. Oh, I'm having fun with this. Let me see. What do I have to say about Josh Jacobs that you didn't already beautifully say? Man, what about Carolina? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
That's a team that I keep thinking about, but I have not brought them up too much. But so yeah, Josh Jacobs, like you're saying, he's only 24 years old, coming off the rookie deal. This year, he's the RB2 all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, right now he's on this is his first full season so far. He hasn't missed any time. He's got that calf injury, so hopefully it doesn't slow him down. But yeah, he's got the highest yards of any year of his career already this year with 1,159, and he has a beautiful average of 5.37 yards per carry. Right now he's pushing 4.3 targets per game, which matches his career high of last year over a 15-game span, right? 15 games last year, 64 targets, 4.3 targets per game. But if he plays a full season, 17 games, that's more like 74 targets. So right now, that would put him like 5th in targets amongst running backs last year. And so, I don't think about him as a dynamic pass catcher very much, but according to the numbers, I mean, he is that guy. So yeah, it's very, very well-rounded and very exciting. And I think he does have time, or I think he has the potential to be a top 5 guy. year in and year out going forward. So yeah, I mean, he's been top 12 every year except for that injury shortened rookie year. So man, yeah, I don't know. I like Atlanta. I always thought him in Miami. Miami was my big thing. But it does feel like damn, like they're kicking themselves for not picking up that 5th year, but he could get tagged or
no, he could. He could end up staying in Vegas. They have enough money to make it work. And he's been so electric that it's, the fan base might riot. But again, it's the same thing though. Like, they're not good, the Raiders. So it's like, okay, do we spend money keeping Josh Jacobs when even his best season in the world, we went 2-8, or 3-8, whatever the fuck they are right now, 4-8. So it's like, I don't know. You have to look at it from that angle too. Because, like, yeah, he was playing out of his fucking mind and we didn't get anywhere. So can we pay him that amount of money and then also fix the team to where it matters? Or should we just let him go? That's going to be tough. I see it like a lot of these guys are 50-50. Obviously, we're doing this not even finished with the actual regular season. So some of it's still up in the air. But that's fair. But no, I'm really excited to see where Josh Jacobs goes and what kind of money he commands.
Yeah, I mean, in this as a Raiders team that still has quite a few of their picks next year. So if they're gonna do poorly and be in the top like 10 picks of the 2nd round, that's like, that's pretty much where you get replacement value starting running backs nowadays. So they might not get the Bijans of the world, but there's still a lot of
Samir back there.
Yeah, Zamir. I forget, but there's still other potential.
He ran for 14 yards a carry last week on 2 carries.
Hey, fuck it.
All right, we're going full.
Daniel, who's your next guy?
Oh my God, it's me again. All right, I'm going to run out of guys pretty fast. I feel like I'm going to run out of guys. You know what? I'm going to throw back to one you said already, kind of. I had Hayden Hurst in like the whole Cincinnati tight end room on there because Drew Sample is also a free agent after this year. So it's pretty much the tight end room for Cincinnati. But yeah, Hurst is kind of like he's on his 3rd team in 5 years. And I feel like he's just keeps the passport out, like stamp it and let it go. But right now he's tied in 8, right? And that's awesome. He's crushing it. But he's not really crushing it. Tight end 8 is 8.8 points per game. And the way he's playing is extremely consistent, right? Like he's got one game where he did well and got 17 points, and then one game where he got 1.7 points. But like the vast majority of all of his games are right between like 8 and 11 points, which is great because you don't get that kind of consistency out of a tight end typically. But like I personally like to have those like you're going to win this week because your tight end caught 4 passes for 80 yards and scored twice. You know what I mean? Like just sprinkle a couple of those in. But the Cincinnati team's not really built like that. And so I don't think they're going to want to, pay him what I think is like semi-premium starting tight end money come after this year. So I don't know where he's going to end up, but I don't think he's going to be with Cincinnati. So I'm kind of excited to see what they end up doing. One thing that I do like about him, though, is the workload he's getting. He's actually tied in targets with Gabe Davis this year. This kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Also blows mine.
Maybe he'll end up in Miami. I'm just dealing with Miami for all of them.
Well, that'd be fine. They just need a tight end that can also block down there in Miami. And Hurst is all right at block. He laid somebody the fuck out. Who was it? That was a crazy block. Look it up. Okay. You can find it. I forget who it was, but there's like a shotgun snap, and then Burrow looks this way, and then you just see Hurst like streaming across, like back across the line, and he just laid this guy out that was coming after Burrow. It was sick. But since you mentioned Miami and tight ends, let's just talk about Mike Gesicki. He through 17 games last year, he had 112 targets. He has 32 right now. Yeah, he's doubled his touchdowns that he had last year. His catch rate is about the same. His yards per reception is about the same. So to me, I don't think Gesicki sucks all of a sudden. I don't think Miami likes him because he doesn't know how to block. And Mike McDaniel is coming from that offense where he has George Kittle, a guy who can crush it in the receiving game and also block like a monster. So I think he wants more like that. And then couple that with the fact that the Dolphins are projected to already be $8,000 over the cap, or $8 million over the cap. I think Gesicki's as good as gone. I don't think that's a crazy assumption. And when you look at him, he's 28. He's going to be 28 next year. He's coming off his worst season usage wise, and that could affect his asking price. And you would assume after a season like that, it's probably more likely going to be like a 1 year prove it deal. Let's see what you have for teams that need a pass catching tight end. And there's a couple, and one who we already know that was trying to trade for a 6'6" pass catching tight end at the trade deadline, and that's Green Bay. And they were trying to get Darren Waller.
Fuck.
And I could see them making a run at Mike Gesicki. Obviously, they have some cap situations of their own. They're projected to be over the cap by $2 million. The whole Aaron Rodgers contract situation, if they trade him, there's a lot of fucking shit that's going to go on in Green Bay. But I do think if they have the money, I think Gesicki is a guy that they're at least going to talk to because they seem to want a better receiving threat at tight end. They've got their blockers that they like, and it seems like they want somebody to catch. The other option I thought also starts with a P. It's the Panthers. They need a pass-catching tight end as well for whatever quarterback they decide to bring in this year. And I think Gesicki could kind of fit. They've got Tommy Tremble to be there as the blocker, and then you could have Gesicki. I think it would work. But I do like Green Bay maybe making a move on Gesicki.
Nice. I like Tennessee.
Yeah,
possibly.
That makes a lot of sense too.
They need something a little sexier in that team, and I think they got a lot of potential. But
yeah,
I'm with you. Green Bay, baby. I'm all for it.
I gotta fit them in where I can. I gotta talk about them.
I like it. I think we all appreciate it. Well, let me get in on another one here. Let me see. I feel like I'm going through these names pretty damn quick. How about Lamar Jackson?
Okay, yeah.
Have you heard of this guy, Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Are we getting I'm getting weird shades of the Dak Prescott situation, where it's tag him, and then what if he gets injured, and then you're gonna end up paying him 4 years, $160 million anyway. So let's just figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at it, and Dak through his first 5 years was 42-27 as a record, whereas Lamar here is 44-16. So he's doing quite a bit. I'd say that's quite a bit better in my opinion. And he's got 125 total touchdowns to his name, 24 on the ground. And the projected franchise tag for quarterback next year is $31.5 million. So you're dealing with a guy who's representing himself as an agent, and I feel like it's going to be a kind of a sticky negotiation. But I'd say you just got to get your money out there. I look at this Ravens team, and I'm like, what the hell are they without Lamar? You know what I mean? As far as
shit.
Yeah, and they haven't done a great job investing in their offensive weapons. They do have the 7th most cap allocated to their offensive line, so that is obviously a foundational piece that aids Lamar. But no one named Mark is out there, or no one that's not named Mark is out there helping him out. You know what I mean? Whatever. That's the best way to say that. But if your name isn't Mark, you're not his friend. But he represents 42% of the rushing yards for that team this year, and he's got a third of the carries. Like he's carrying the team on his back, and I'm very interested to see what could possibly happen if things don't pan out with Lamar. You know what I mean? If he somehow gets out of Baltimore and gets somewhere where he has a more well-rounded offensive attack that he can just kind of sit back and pick apart defenses, kind of like he did his first couple of years as MVP year. I think it'd be pretty cool, man. I'm kind of worried about the Ravens for not supporting him in the way that they could, getting rid of Hollywood and not being able to have a serviceable replacement. But I don't know, man. The whole Lamar thing, I think we're getting excited about a franchise tag situation. But
oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. And I would have put Lamar on the list, but I think ultimately that's what's going to happen because they just can't let him walk.
right,
It would just be ridiculous. And trying to figure out where he would go is insane because like no one of that caliber has ever hit the open market.
right,
The closest thing we've seen to that is Deshaun Watson getting traded and like how people were going after that. And he broke the record for the most guaranteed contract. And like, so if Lamar goddamn Jackson was just a free agent who could just accept any deal he wanted, that deal would be ridiculous. The bidding war on Lamar Jackson would be absolutely insane. And a team would bankrupt themselves going for it. And probably should. He's great. Not saying that it would be a bad idea. I just mean like this would be a bidding war that we are not ready for. And honestly, I saw a Photoshop that got me kind of excited of Lamar Jackson in a Jets uniform.
Oh no
way.
That would
be
oh
nasty.
my god,
that would be fun.
I can't unsee it now.
Yeah.
I was thinking like you slide him in the Falcons or whatever.
Yeah, that would be good too. Yeah,
And let that happen. But the Jets, like that's a fucking dynasty, man.
yeah,
overnight.
they'd be
I was
set.
gonna say Atlanta and Carolina come to mind just because they were in the bidding
Deshaun
war of
Watson
Deshaun
room,
Watson, but
Yeah. Well, like I don't know, a super cam situation in Carolina, it feels like they're always going to try to be looking for the next Cam Newton situation.
I could see that.
The Jets, dude.
That would be
that'd be a
super
dynasty.
tasty. Yeah.
What about Washington? Fuck.
All right. So let's kind of subvert a little bit of expectation, not do a free agent. I'm going to do somebody who has a possible out on their contract that I could see possibly getting traded. DeAndre Hopkins. Okay.
Oh.
So, stick with me here. The Cardinals are 4-8. They need a ton of help, and they don't have a lot of options with only 17 million cap space projected. Now, that's not crazy, like they could definitely make that work, but they're just not good, and there's a lot of up in the air, and I don't know what they're going to end up doing. Are they going to keep the coach? Are they going to keep the GM? Are they going to scrap it? Who knows? What I do know is they have a 30-year-old receiver who is putting up insane production. He's getting 10 targets a game right now, over 100 yards a game, and he already has 3 scores, even though he's only been in 6 games. So he looks great, but he's going to be 31 in 2023, and the team's not really going anywhere. Why not trade him now when his dead cap money is only like 23 million in 2023, which is quite a bit, but it goes up from there. And when looking at this, it has to be a contender, and it has to be somebody that has enough money. I thought about New England. I just don't know if I think they're a true enough contender to like go and make a move that aggressive.
Okay.
And then a super fantasy one that would be crazy, Kansas City.
Yeah.
That'd be nuts. But I think what could make a lot of sense is Detroit. I think Detroit going and getting a wide receiver of that caliber after getting a running back, lining up Jamison Williams, ARSB, DeAndre Hopkins, and a new quarterback. I think that could be a lot of fun. And the Lions have been frisky enough to make them see themselves as a contender next year because they're close enough in these games. They're putting up points. They just need a few pieces, quarterback being one of them, receiver being another. And then because we just talked about it, if the Ravens figure out the Lamar Jackson situation, they could try to trade for Hopkins, and that would be crazy. But that was one. He just has an out, so I figured that would be a fun one.
Hell yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, I didn't make it to the out section, so I'm glad you sprinkled that in, dude. The Ravens be buck nasty.
Yeah, the Ravens would be tight.
You mean nuck nasty?
Oh, yeah, be knucking your pants over here.
Nuke nasty.
Nuking.
But yeah, I have 3 guys that have like possible outs, but that's it. 3 of the 10.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Daniel, what you got, dog?
Okay, I'm gonna go with a sad face version of, and this goes along with some of the other ones I've done so far, as far as the wide receivers go, because it's kind of a sad free agent year. I'm going to talk a little bit about Mecole Hardman.
Oh, okay. I almost put him on mine.
Yeah. So, fun fact: Mecole Hardman, he has a career average of 36.6 yards per game, which is not amazing at all. But Tyreek goes to Miami, right? Tyreek last year had the 7th most targets of any wide receiver. So you're like, okay, this is a great opportunity. Let's see what happens. And yeah, Mecole is doing a lot better without Tyreek. His average per game has gone up 1/2 of a yard. So great. And now he's on the IR and he's injured. And the team he plays for just traded for Kadarius Toney. And they signed freaking Brian Edwards. Yeah, Brian Edwards to the practice squad. So it's pretty much over for him. But my whole thing with Mecole Hardman is I don't really think there's going to be a lot of wandering eyes. I don't think a lot of people are going to be interested in him after things have gone the way that they have. So, yeah. So this guy who's probably a top 5 wide receiver in this free agency class is probably going to get like a $6 million a year deal just to probably stay in Kansas City or go to Chicago or whatever. So
I think honestly, Baltimore makes a lot of sense for Hardman.
Oh yeah, Baltimore. Yeah, it's like a poor man's
Hollywood. Yeah,
yeah.
Same concept. Cheaper option. Yeah, I don't see a scenario where a Mecole is back in Kansas City. I guess it could if it's like a cheap deal, but I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of moving on with Toney, and they've got Sky Moore on the back burner, who's finally starting to turn on and look like the guy we thought he might be.
It's a middle burner.
And I just think, I don't know. I just think they kind of just let Hardman go, and he, like you're saying, just signs a deal to go kind of puddle around with another team. But depending on where he goes, I think he could be effective in fantasy. But I don't think he stays in Kansas City.
All right,
that sucks.
I'm cool with that. I'm super cool with that. I hope they bring Juju back.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be fun.
Another wide receiver free agent.
Well, let's stick it. I'll keep it with the wide receivers then. Parris Campbell.
Yeah,
is a free agent at the end of the year. He's finally flashing that ability that got him drafted. This is by far his most productive season. But the Colts have been burned by him. They drafted him in the 2nd round and he hasn't really played it for him. So are they ready to sign up with him again? And according to sporttrack.com, a team could probably get him for $2.5 million on a prove it deal. I don't think so. That seems ridiculous. He's still 25 and he's been looking good. He looks like the number 2 compared to Michael Pittman right now. If he can finish the year healthy and prove that to a lot of teams, I think he could be a buzzy name once free agency hits. People like that premium talent, even if it hasn't produced. It'll get him a lot more money. I think teams that could still need that cheaper option could go after him, aka the Rams. I think would be an interesting spot for him. New England, the Giants, division rival Tennessee, I thought made a lot of sense. And then honestly, I know they come up a lot, but I think Green Bay, once Amari Rodgers is gone, if Aaron Rodgers is gone, then Randall Cobb's definitely gone. So they would need somebody to kind of take over that slot, and he would be an electric option to do that on maybe a cheaper deal. So there's a bunch of teams, and I'm more threw him on here because I think you're going to start hearing Parris Campbell's name pop around free agency a lot more than people are expecting.
No, I agree with you 4,000%. I mean, his skill set coming out of college was incredible. Like, I remember you and I debating on, like middle of the first round rookie draft, like ready to grab him. And it's not like he's failed in the NFL. He's failed to stay on the field. You know what I mean? He hasn't demonstrated that he's not capable. He's actually done pretty damn good in the sample size that he's put out, especially when you consider what's been going on in Indianapolis as far as the passer and the whole dynamic of that team. I think, he's a guy that could benefit greatly from having to change the scenery. And I think he's a guy that if he can stay on the field he's gonna blow people's minds. People are gonna be pissed that they didn't see it coming or whatever. They didn't have a chance to get him. So I'm all about it with this Parris Campbell stuff.
Send him to Cleveland.
I think it'd be fun.
Ooh, Cleveland
would be fun.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need a slot guy.
Yeah. I think a great place for him to go would be New York. Nueva York.
Like the Giants?
Yeah, the Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants would make a lot of sense.
Please don't get any more wide receivers to the Jets.
Yeah, I don't like that idea. But no, the Giants would make a lot of sense. I think I had him on there. I just find it. Yeah. I had him
Giants?
at least listed as a possible. Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to go to the Giants, man. If they're on my list as the entire team. Because they, believe it or not, long story short, they traded Kadarius Toney away. In case this is breaking news, they've traded Kadarius Toney to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have 5 wide receivers going to free agency next year, including Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard, and their quarterback Daniel Jones, and Saquon Barkley. That the entire offense is going to be free agents. They can't bring all these guys back. They probably don't want to bring all these guys back. Barkley, Jones, Slayton, Shepard, these guys have been Giants their whole careers. It's been up and down. Obviously, they got a lot of momentum going with the Dable thing, but I don't think any of it hinges on any of these guys. Darius Slayton is coming off of his rookie contract, and right now he leads the team with 476 receiving yards, and the next guy behind him is 196 yards back. So he's pretty much the only guy in town right now. Obviously, Richie James is coming up. We're hoping Wandell get some health. Obviously, Kenny Golladay is just gone.
Disappeared.
Yeah, whatever. He's MIA by choice. Like, they asked him not to come back and just to cash his paychecks quietly somewhere. But I think that Slayton probably gets a look at another team. And I think that being able to be the only thing going on in otherwise crummy situation will probably warrant him to get a nice opportunity to possibly be a number 2 somewhere. Maybe Atlanta. Sounds like a good place for a guy like Darius Slayton. I don't know. This guy's like all circular. There's some really rough teams out there. We keep bringing them up because they need all the help. Maybe he can go to, I don't know. I would say Indianapolis,
Yeah,
but
that'd be fine.
Jelani Woods the number 2 guy there. So
woo. Jelani Woods pop. Let's go. 16 points.
Yeah, that was a sweet game for him.
Yeah, it was. Looked good. No, I like it. Yeah, the Giants are going to have to make a move, and I doubt Slayton is in their future plans. It wouldn't be in mine anyway.
Hater, dude.
All right, so I got 2 running backs and then a fun one I wanted to save for last. So let's get this one out of the way. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you've heard me talk about the Aaron Jones contract situation. I wanted to dig a little deeper into that to just really understand the out and like how it all works. So what Aaron Jones did with his contract, they restructured it at the beginning of this year to give more money to the Packers in 2022 so that they could go all in and make stuff happen. That didn't work. Jones is now slated to have a $20 million cap hit in 2023, which would be the highest running back cap hit in NFL history for a guy that's going to turn 29 that year. That's just not happening. Like, they're not going to do that. The Packers are already projected to be $2 million over the cap space. They're going to have to get under that, and then they're going to want to make moves, figure stuff out. Aaron Jones has to be one of those. What I was expecting to come away with when I was reading about this was I thought Aaron Jones was for sure gone. But honestly, the more I look at it, it almost makes more sense for him to just rework the deal and extend it over a few years. Because if he gets cut, the Packers are on the hook for $7 million, but they save $13 million. Okay, so that makes sense. But Jones, from, in my mind, a business standpoint, you're 29 years old. Do you really want to make yourself a free agent when Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, Josh Jacobs, and Rashad Penny are all also going to be free agents? Like, why not just rework the deal, take a little bit less money? You understand where you're at. You love Green Bay, according to himself. I'm not just making this stuff up for him. So I think this is a lot closer to a 50-50 shot of Aaron Jones moving on, because the 2023 running back draft class is also supposed to be really good. I just don't know that there's going to be a lot of spots for him to go with all these like younger options and Sanders and Pollard. Now, Pollard's probably not leaving Dallas, to be fair. And Saquon, in my opinion, is probably not leaving the Giants. But all these other guys are younger than him and are going to be more attractive options. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me wanting Aaron Jones to retire a Packer. Who knows? But I think it's a lot closer than I've been saying all season.
Oof. I'm scared, man. I'm scared about everything you just said.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, man. He's got to stay Packer for life.
That'd be fun.
I mean, you can't get a new cereal box, right?
No, fuck that. Or a jersey. I'm about to lose like 6 of my jerseys.
Yeah, gosh, that's rough. You got the Amari Rodgers one, right?
About to lose 2 Rodgers jerseys.
Zadarius Smith, Devontae Adams, Darnell Savage probably isn't getting re-signed. Rodgers is going to be gone soon, regardless of what he does. He'll retire within the next couple of years, regardless. So all I have left is Jones, Rodgers, and Jair. So,
well, hold on to the
and Charles Woodson. But
Charles Woodson, there you go.
That one's sick, but that one doesn't count as like those type of jerseys. That one's just a sick jersey to own.
Sounds like you're gonna need some new jerseys, homie.
Sounds like it.
To you.
I was about to say, sounds like a Russell Wilson one.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, Daniel, who you got?
All right, this is the last guy on my list.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So I can go back to back. One of them's pretty quick. So.
Okay, well, this one should be very slow, enjoyed, very pleasureful for some of us. It's Jamal Williams, man.
Hey!
Oh, nice.
As well.
All right, well, this would be perfect. Yeah, he's a running back 12 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
He is also 27 years old, only a few months older than Kareem Hunt, which is pretty impressive. You know, everyone thinks Kareem Hunt's the next big thing, but
Stop looking at me.
All right. Currently, Jamal Williams has 13 rushing touchdowns. That's pretty incredible, man. That is actually the same number of rushing touchdowns he has in his previous 5 years, his entire career.
Hell yeah.
He doubled up, man. And that's awesome. So that's 13 touchdowns in 11 games. That is one less than premium Kareem Hunt had in 11 games in 2018. And that was split 7 rushing, 7 receiving. So, yeah, I'm not sure how this became a Bash Kareem Hunt segment, but that's what's happening. But I have a feeling that we're going to see Williams stick with Detroit, man. Like the guy seems like he's kind of like a leader on that team, and with the son's success, I think he's going to demand a little bit of cash, man. He's got one of those like James Conner type seasons from last year, where it's like, oh shit, this guy just can't be stopped in the red zone. So what are you going to do? You got to keep him, bring him back. So I don't know, man. I'm excited about Jamal Williams. I'm mostly excited to hear what you're going to say about Jamal Williams. And then I'll try to jump in with a team. I know you're going to have a team. I'm excited.
I will have a team. No, I'm with you. Jamal's looked great. I'm happy for him. He is, from all accounts, like a leader in the locker. He was in Green Bay when he was here, even though he was second fiddle to Aaron Jones. Like, he was still that guy that everybody respected, everybody liked. So I'm happy to see him, and I hope he gets paid. He deserves it.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I do think there's a chance, probably a stronger chance, he stays in Detroit. They don't have really that crazy of cap issues where they at $23 million, they can afford to figure it out. If he does leave, though, 13 touchdowns already. Who knows what he's going to finish with? That's 13 was already going to get notice throughout the league. If he gets more, it's going to be crazy. I do know a team that saw somebody score 18 touchdowns one year, and then they signed him, and then the next year they won the Super Bowl with that guy, and that guy's name was LeGarrette Blount, and that team was the Eagles. And I think that would make a lot of sense after losing Miles Sanders to bring in a vet, draft like a rookie running back, and have Jamal Williams as your kind of like power back in the Eagles locker room. You're not spending a ton of money. I think it would work pretty well. Maybe that's just fun. Maybe I just want to see Jamal Williams possibly win a Super Bowl.
The Eagles didn't deserve that Super Bowl.
That's fair.
Okie dokie there, partner. Okay.
I don't know.
like
I think
that.
that'd be fun. And LeGarrette Blount was 31 years old at the time that the Eagles signed him, so I don't think they'd be scared of him being 27 or 28 in 2023.
Man, I just want him to go to Kansas City, man.
That'd be fun, too. Him and Pacheco would make a nice little thunder and lightning combo.
Yeah, let Pacheco get the first downs, let Williams get the touchdowns.
Yeah, there you go.
Be good to go.
Well, did you have another team, or am I going to go into the last one?
You're going into the last one.
All right. So this one I had a little fun with.
Okay.
All right. I don't know how sound this is going to be, but I wanted to end on a bang, and let's travel all together into the future. All right. It's Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. Following a heartbreaking loss in the wild card round to the team that took 2 Super Bowls away from him, the New York Giants, Tom Brady retires, announces his re-retirement after losing in the wild card round. The Buccaneers have to accept this, figure out their lengthy rebuild process. They are currently projected to be $50 million in the cap, or in the hole for the cap. They're going to be trying to figure this out. They've got a lot of aging veterans, yada, yada, yada. GM's doing it. He gets a phone ring late one night. Ryan Poles wants to talk to him, wants to help him out, figure out that situation for him. After a late night gab session between them, a deal is struck, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers send Mike Evans to the Bears. And hear me out. I think this makes a lot of sense. All right. So Mike Evans has a cap hit of $24 million in 2023. He's going to be 30 years old. If Brady's gone, what are the Bucs? Where's Kyle Trask? Is Kyle Trask going to be the guy? Are they going to, like,
Gabbard.
They sold out. The Buccaneers did it. They sold out to win a Super Bowl, and it worked. And now they have to pay for that because they pushed all this money down the road. They got to figure it out. And that on top of that, does Mike Evans want to be on a rebuild at 30 years old? I would imagine not.
He didn't look like he wanted to be on the field last week.
That's fair. The Bears have a lot of ammunition to make something like this happen. They have 2 second-rounders this year. They have 2 fourth-rounders next year. And they have 24 picks they could work with. They're not going to work with their second or their first this year because it's projected to be the number 2 overall, and that would be crazy. But what else they have is $116 million in cap space to work with, which is bananas money. And they could just literally take on all of Mike Evans' contract, and it would not affect them whatsoever. And to me, Justin Fields has looked great. You can rebuild the line also through free agency and the draft. That number 2 overall pick can either help you build the defense, or I'm sure it'll get you an awesome offensive tackle if you want to go for it. And then you roll out onto the field with Mike Evans, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Cole Kmet with Fields' running ability. I don't like it as a Packers fan, but I think it would make a lot of sense. If I was the Bears GM, I'd at least call and try to figure it out.
Ooh, wait.
Yeah, I always wonder with that Chris Godwin contract, if they're not competing, they can't pay both those guys at all.
No. Like,
I mean, you're telling me they can't pay him, period.
It's all funny money at this point. I don't understand it enough, and people seem to make up ways to get out of salary cap hell. But to me, trading again, I mean, we've seen it happen. It just happened with Devontae Adams. It just happened with Tyreek Hill. Nobody's untouchable anymore. So to me, sending a guy that's – and the thing with Mike Evans, too, is he's 30, but that's 2 or 3 years you could work with Fields, and the Bears probably are going to feel like they're at a good point with all the money they're going to be able to spend, all the draft picks they're going to be able to make. I don't know, man. The more I think about it, the more sense it makes to me. So somebody stop me, I guess.
I'm not going to stop that.
I mean, who wants to go from Tampa to Chicago, though, 30 years old?
That's fair. It's going to be cold. Now you got to start paying taxes. Yep. That would suck.
The restaurants are better in Chicago, right?
That's true. Got better life. Better nightlife.
He's
been in Tampa a long time, man. Maybe it's time. Do something else.
I love it.
From Texas to Tampa. He might not be ready for that cold.
That's fair. Might not be used to it.
That's hilarious. Man, I love that. I love me some Mike Evans.
And with the terrible defense, let's just stack some fantasy points over there in Chicago, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
They need receivers. They're going to go for one in the draft, but you have the money to get a vet. If any of these veteran wide receivers are on the market, Chicago should be in that conversation. If they're not, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, there's no one. I mean, unless they go get Juju, right? Mm-hmm. Or something like there's
like trade talks.
Right.
Trade for receivers, yeah.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because number 2 pick is too high.
Mm-hmm.
There's
way too high.
Number 2 pick guy. Like that just doesn't exist anymore. There might be a number 7, number 6, but not a number 2.
Unless it's some kind of huge like trade back scenario where you get Mike Evans and the Bucks first rounder to move back. But I don't know. That would even be
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'd see. I mean, if it were me, I would definitely trade out of that pick.
Yeah,
but the way they kind of gutted their defense, I wouldn't. I'd assume they'd go for
they need to rebuild that defense
with the number 2.
I'd imagine if they end up with the number 2, number 1's probably going to be a quarterback to the Texans. Mm-hmm. So they basically have their pick of whatever defensive player they want.
Mm-hmm. Or they have their pick of like just taking a haul for that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Similar to what New York did when they traded up to get Justin Fields a couple of years back, New York got hooked up by that situation. So
yeah, they did.
Or who was it? Who traded out of the number 2 to San Francisco?
Miami.
Yeah, Miami. That turned out pretty good for them, huh?
Yeah, they look great.
They already had their
Trey
quarterback.
Lance guy.
Yeah, man. Go back to the 6th overall pick up on next year's first. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that'd be the way to do it. But I did want to recap real quick a few things about why this wide receiver class is or the wide receiver free agency class coming out of the rookie contract is so crappy. I'm looking at the draft from 2019, and stop me if this is what you're about to talk about, AJ. And it's kind of like very bust. You got your N'Keal Harrys in here. You got your Arthega Whitesides, your Mecoles. And then the guys that didn't bust just got extensions already. And we're talking like Hollywood, right? Got the trade there. And then you got Debo, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, even Hunter Renfrow got an extension already. So like anyone that's anybody in this class has already got their extension. There's a couple even tight ends, Hawkinson and Dawson Knox with extensions going already. And then you've got Kyler, right? But there are 0 running backs from this class that have been given any kind of a contract extension beyond the rookie deal, and no fifth-year options for any of those guys, which is just Josh Jacobs. He's the only first-round guy. But yeah, man, it's kind of funny. If you look at the quarterbacks, it's a little sad. But yeah, some of these top wide receivers just, Jalen Hurd, Andy Isabella, like it just got rough. But so that explains what happened. I think with the high dollar free agency stuff and the trades going on last year, and then a great wide receiver draft, the extensions happened, and then it kind of just was a vacuum, and it was so intense that it was pretty much 2 years worth of wide receiver deals going on last year.
Yeah.
So it's a year of the running back.
Let's do it.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Next
Pay them all.
The year of the receiver again, where you got to pay CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. And then
Jerry Jeudy?
Well, I mean,
not as much.
You got to keep Russell Wilson happy somehow.
Yeah. I guess. Do you?
Why? he's not keeping anybody else happy.
Yeah, he's not holding up his end very well.
That's funny.
Well, right on, man. I think that's a wrap, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's RDR in a nutshell. Getting at you with just a little bit of information about the wild free agency that's coming our way in the early spring.
Should be
That's
fun.
where we live, baby.
So I think next week we're going to speculate on kind of some team needs and kind of take this the next step further and elaborate and get a little juicy.
Love it.
Woo-hoo.
So,
All right. RDR out.
thanks for listening.